Welcome to the GLAC studio. This is Gomathi, Sankaran, founder, CEO of the Guiding Light Art Company, building bright futures through art. Today, in the season 2, 8th episode of the GLAC What Next series, Change Management and Practice, we are going all the way to Singapore to meet the founder of Go Global Business School, Dr.h.c. Jalaluddin. Yeah, I know your story is such a big one. It's going to be hard to summarize in in an hour, I understand. But if you could just open up your background as to where you belong, because I think that itself is an interesting story. You speak so many languages.
I love it when you say the word belong, because
Yeah.
one of the most intriguing part of how I get to doing what I'm doing right now is because I grew up with a belief system, or rather a thought in my mind, that I don't belong.
Oh my God.
Okay, so why did that happen to me? Because of the childhood that was so diverse. My parents came from Nagarkoil, Kanyakumari, Tamil Nadu in India, and settled in Singapore. And I was I am born and brought up in Singapore, for, all my life. So as I grew up in Singapore, and we are the only family, so we don't have anybody other than my parents and probably a uncle, right? The two families that came to Singapore from so I didn't see my grandparents or anybody until much later. That means we grew up alone, like without anybody. So in my mind, that's my family, 5 of us, that's it, right? So you don't have a belonging of a community that many people do. So then, of course, we had friends. Then again, family and friends are a little different. Then came the second part. I was put into a Chinese school by design. I thank Almighty for having been there in a Chinese school. But when I was growing up, I was the only Indian, or sometimes we call the brown skinned people in Singapore, because we call the Chinese yellow skinned people. But that is
wow, really?
It's really can be very weird the way that all this is called, name calling happens, but that was what it was. And I was the only Indian, and after that my sister joined me. The two of us were the only non-Chinese in the Chinese school for the 6 years of my life. And again, are you hearing me?
Yeah, I am in shock. So yeah, let it go. Let it go.
Yeah. So that also gave me, many situations kind of told me I don't belong because I'm the odd one out, right? So all these odd one out conversations has been very interestingly imbibing in me and asking myself, I don't belong here. So what I did to overcome this I don't belong conversation in my childhood years and growing up, I started showing up everywhere to make myself belong. So I will be with everybody, like, in my college days, in secondary school, I would be with the Chinese speaking community because I speak Chinese, and then I'll have my own group of friends that I hang out with. So I would make myself feel like I belong everywhere. So this was a very unsaid mechanism for me to make sure that I belong everywhere, because I feel I don't belong. You relate to what I'm saying?
I relate to it. I'm still in a state of shock. Because the first thing people tend to do when they figure out they don't belong to a place is to paint ourselves into a corner.
Interesting. So I took the other approach. So this is what we do, the extreme. Like my sister is a very quiet person. She's kind of opposite of me. So I worked on this way of going out there and belonging everywhere. And if you see right now, that has actually been a blessing in disguise, because right now the work that we do is very much an all-inclusive environment, and going beyond language, race, or religion. Not to forget, not only Tamil and Chinese, I'm also, Singapore born, you can pick up Malay language, the Malaysian Bahasa, as well as Indonesian. They're all very similar. So I can pass off 80% of Asia, which is the China, the India, India is Hindi and a little bit here and there, no problem. And then the Malay and the Indonesia. And of course, in Singapore, we speak all the languages and English. So for me, it has been like becoming all inclusive. And so the way that we connected with people was going beyond language. So I have had the experience of being judged, being told that I'm different, and
Yeah.
that I have to prove myself. There was one time in my school days, in my Chinese school, my teacher told me, and now that I'm mentioning it, it's kind of still hanging in my memory, that she made me stand up in class and she told me, Azeeza, this is a Chinese school and we always score 100% mark. We don't want it to drop to 99.99 because of you. Better make sure you buck up.